Hello and welcome to this history tutorial on the reasons why people decided to travel west from the 1840s. This is for Edexcel GCSE American West. Today we will cover the factors that encourage migration and what the journey was like for those that decided to make that journey. The first people to explore the west were the mountain men who hunted animals in the 1820s and 30s to sell their skins. They didn't settle in the west, but they did set up trails that settlers would later use. The Great Migration of 1843 saw a sudden increase in settlers. So why did more and more people decide to make that journey west in the 1840s? There were many different reasons why people made that decision to make the long and dangerous journey west. Some factors were those that pushed migrants out to the east, while others pulled or attracted them to the west. Let's take a look at some of the push factors. Firstly, in 1837, there was an economic crisis in the east, and many of the banks collapsed. People lost their savings, businesses failed, and thousands lost their jobs. Those who remained in work faced wage cuts of as much as 40%. The East was also becoming overcrowded as there were high levels of immigration from Europe. This made the problems caused by the economic crisis even worse, and also led to poor sanitary conditions, which led to epidemics of yellow fever and cholera. These problems were known as push factors. They gave people good reasons to try and make a life elsewhere. Some people decided to travel west due to the new opportunities that were available in the west. These were known as pull factors. Fur trappers had been travelling to Oregon for years, and when they returned to the east, they brought back news of rich, fertile farming land west of the Rocky Mountains. The promise of free farming land in the west was a major factor in people migrating, especially after the financial crisis of 1837. The US government was also keen for people to begin migrating west in order to strengthen the USA's claim to the land there. The government introduced acts which allowed settlers to claim land in Oregon, and they spent $30,000 on an expedition to map the Oregon Trail and published reports that would help migrants get to Oregon. The ultimate pull factor, however, was gold. In April 1849, 100,000 people left the east to travel to California after gold was discovered. Thousands travelled along the Oregon Trail, and thousands more travelled from all over the world by land and sea in the hope of finding gold. The search for gold meant that California's population had reached 300,000 by 1855. Settlers also travelled west because of their belief in manifest destiny. Many US citizens believed that they were destined to occupy and govern all of North America. They saw it as their God-given right to do so, and this was a big motivating factor in travelling west. So once people had made the decision to travel west, what should they expect from the journey itself? Well, for those crossing the plains, they faced a difficult journey. It took around 5 months to complete the 2,000-mile journey to the west coast. The journey had to be completed before winter, otherwise there was a risk of getting stuck in the mountains, which is exactly what happened to the Donner Party, who had to resort to cannibalism to survive. People travelling west would travel in wagons and formed wagon trains with other settlers. The journey was dangerous, and as many as 10% would die on their way to their new lives. There were rivers and mountains to cross, and this was difficult in the wagons, so it was important for the migrants to travel with equipment to help them repair the wagons. Food and water shortages during the journey were common, and people suffered disease such as typhoid and cholera. Accidents were also a common feature of the journey west, as it was easy to fall under the wagon wheels. In summary, there were many reasons why people made the decision to travel west. Events such as the financial crisis of 1837 contributed to pushing people out of the east, and the lure of free, fertile land pulled migrants to the west. It is important to remember that the journey west was a dangerous one, so the fact that people were willing to make such a dangerous journey shows how much they wanted to travel west. To get further help, visit history.outwood.com, see your teacher in school, or check out quiz.outwood.com for those sweet revision quizzes. You can also follow the Outwood Humanities team on Twitter @OGATHumanities. Until next time, that was a little bit of history.